It's a Fast and the Furious movie. What do you expect? Hey, I'm Amy and welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about Fast and Furious presents Hobbs Shaw. It is a it is a spin-off of the Fast and the Furious franchise starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Jason Statham in their roles as Luke Hobbs and Deckard Shaw, respectively. And this is exactly what you would expect from a Fast and Furious spin-off. I knew that going into this movie. I was not expecting some amazing, fantastic film, but I wasn't expecting like a really horrible film either. I was kind of expecting something in the middle, and that's pretty much what I got, and I was really happy with that. And I knew that the action sequences would be really awesome because the director of this is David Leitch, who also directed Atomic Blonde and has worked as the stunt choreographer and co-director. I believe, you can correct me if I am wrong on that. He has had a lot of stuff to do with stunts in movies, but he is probably most notably known for the John Wick series and, of course, like I said, Atomic Blonde. So I knew the fight scenes in this would be amazing, top-notch, and they are. For the most part. The hand-to-hand stuff is great. There's some gunfighting stuff that's just, kind of, I could give or take it. It went on for a little bit. And there's also like the car chase scenes that go on forever. But I forgive it for that because I do know that this is a Fast and the Furious movie. So that is going to happen in this film. There's going to be a whole lot of car chases for a long periods of time. There wasn't as many car chases as I thought there would be. There is two really big car/motorcycle/ heavy machinery. Oh, no, actually, I take that back. There are three. There are three really big car chase sequences, and they are fairly long, but I don't know what else you would expect from a franchise called Fast and the Furious that is focused mainly on cars. Something I cannot forgive it for, though, which is like why a lot of people will go to see this movie, is the relationship, the way that Hobbs and Shaw butt heads. And yes, it is very funny because Statham and The Rock really play it up. They do it well, and they do it in a very comedic way. But there is so much bickering between the two of them that it got so annoying and boring after a while. I think this movie is like almost 2.5 hours, and about 30 minutes of the total runtime of this film is the two of them bickering, maybe even more of that, and it's about 15 minutes too much. I mean, it could even be more than 30 minutes. I feel like it's probably even more than 30 minutes, but about half of it could have been cut out or cut down. There are a couple scenes where it works really well, especially this one scene in the middle when they're talking to Idris Elba's character and they use their bickering as sort of a distraction for something else that happens. I don't want to give away too many spoilers, even though there's not really that much to spoil, and it's got really no great story because it's the same story that you've seen in every single Fast and Furious franchise, but the way they use their bickering in this one particular scene is really well done, and I really liked it, and it was very funny. But a lot of it, I just got so bored, and people were laughing, and yes, I guess some of the jokes were funny that they were making, but for me, it just went on way too long. Way too long. But I do love The Rock. And I'm not like a huge fan of Jason Statham, but I'm not like, not a fan of his. I like their chemistry together. They do a great job. And the end of the film did hint at a sequel, and I will, of course, see it because I did enjoy this. I will say that it is probably my favorite of any of the Fast and the Furious movies. Granted, I have only seen like 3 or 4 of them, like the first 2 and then the most recent one. I know I watched the most recent one because it had Charlize Theron in it, and that was like the main reason I went to see that. And along with that story, like the very stereotypical story arc, it just got like, it was very setup heavy in the beginning with some very obvious setup, and some of the setup they like only followed through in like an end credit sequence, so you didn't get like a super amount of satisfaction, especially if you left once the credits started rolling, because there are a couple of end credit scenes in this, especially a couple that set up things that'll happen in the next film probably. Honestly, I wasn't expecting a super strong story. Again, it's Fast and Furious. I wasn't expecting, like, honestly, it's like taking this movie in for what it was, what I was expecting from it. It's nothing new, and nothing really surprised me. I did have a lot of fun. It was really fun though. It was super, like, so cheesy. Like, I think it was even more cheesy than any of the other Fast and the Furious movies that I have seen. There were parts that probably weren't supposed to be funny, but they, like, were so cheesy that I laughed at them. And I know at some points the actors were definitely playing into the cheese, which is fine. It's something that, I mean, it happens in these movies, and I was okay with that because they were leaning into it and they were doing a great job of leaning into that cheese, and I liked it. It's so fun. It's like, honestly, as annoyed as I was at some parts of this movie, I had so much fun. I can't stop saying that because it is really a fun movie. If you want just a fun movie, this is it. And besides The Rock and Jason Statham, we also had Idris Elba as the bad guy and Vanessa Kirby as Jason Statham's sister. Idris Elba did a great job because it's Idris Elba. He's the sexiest man alive currently. But again, very cheesy bad guy. He leaned into it though too, which is great. And Vanessa Kirby, I was so excited for her to be in this. Don't think I've seen anything else she's in, but I was excited to have somebody other than Charlize Theron in Fate of the Furious to be like super amped up about being a badass female and having some fight sequences. Her fight sequences were great. They definitely reminded me of Atomic Blonde, which is another Charlize Theron movie that I absolutely adore, directed by David Leitch. She definitely wasn't Letty from the Fast and Furious movies because she only just drives the car. She doesn't get any like fight sequences. So it was great to have that change of pace in this series franchise. At the same time, she wasn't like super strongly set up, but I wasn't expecting that either because not a lot of the characters were set up very well. There's some plot points, like the relationship between Idris Elba and Jason Statham's character, but I'll get to that in a second. With Vanessa Kirby's character, she wasn't set up super well because there were points where I didn't even know her name until like the last maybe 15 minutes, and I'm still not even the last 15 minutes, it was like the last 45 minutes, the last third of the film, but I'm still not even sure if that's her name. I mean, I could look it up on IMDb, but I don't even know her character's name for a multitude of reasons. One, I don't think they ever really use it. Two, I think they probably put it up on like a CIA or FBI, whatever, file report, but it's on the screen for so little time that you don't get a chance to read it. Three, the music mix in this film was so hot, like so loud, that when people were talking while there was music playing, it was hard to hear. And at most of the times when people were talking, they were saying Vanessa Kirby's character's name. I think it's Addie. I don't know. And then the way Jason Statham speaks sometimes, he doesn't speak very clearly. And with his accent, even though I watch a lot of British and like English, Irish, like I watch a lot of movies and TV that have those accents in it that a lot of times they do start to sound like an American English accent to me. I still couldn't understand what he was saying because it was just so thick. And he also talks out of the side of his mouth kind of weird. Even when he was saying it, I couldn't understand what her name was. So I kind of just went with it. She is just very much a MacGuffin. She starts out the movie and she's the reason why a lot of this happens, and she could be replaced by any other character in here and it would still have the same effect pretty much. But that said, I did really love a lot of what she did. She is still a badass female in this series that we don't really get a lot of, and she got to have some really cool fight scenes. And now, plot holes with Idris Elba and Jason Statham's character really quickly. Gonna go loop back around to that. Apparently they were in the military together or a secret agent type thing. I don't know. They don't really explain it. Maybe it'll be explained in the next one. But they make all these references to their past together, but they don't really like do any flashbacks or get really in depth with it all that much. So it was a little weird, and I'm just like, oh, okay, I'll play along. And I don't know. That's weird. And finally, there are 3 cameos in here that are probably the best parts of this movie. They were really, really funny. They were probably funnier than most of what was happening on screen, at least for me personally. And I don't want to spoil them in case like, you want to go in surprised, because I was totally surprised when all three of these people came on screen at their respective times. I think the entire audience I was with, which was a huge packed theater, didn't know either, and they were all surprised and they all cheered and laughed, and it was a great time. So I don't want to spoil them for you because they're great, and I don't think that they have been in any trailers, and you could probably look up who they are on IMDb, but don't if you want to be surprised when you go to see this. So overall, my rewatch score for this would be maybe a Redbox. I don't think I would ever purchase this, rewatch it a lot. Yeah, I mean, I could give it a Netflix, but if somebody else wanted to watch it, I would not be opposed to it because it's fun. Again, it's my favorite of any of the Fast and Furious movies that I have seen. But of course, those are just my thoughts, and I would love to know what you think of the Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw in the comments down below. What do you think? What is your favorite Fast and Furious franchise movie? Thank you guys so much for watching. I really, truly do appreciate you, whoever you are. Let me know who you are in the comments down below, and let's be friends. If you enjoyed this, leave a like and subscribe if you're new, because I love talking things, movies, TV shows, filmmaking, mystery, all that fun stuff, and I'll see you next time. Bye!